All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. All arrangements put in place for second phase of assembly elections to be held in West Bengal and Assam tomorrow. Centre approves issuance of 16th tranche of electoral bonds. More than 6.24 crore doses of COVID vaccine administered in the country so far. WHO releases report on global tracing of COVID origins and calls for further studies. US, UK and 12 other countries criticize findings of the report. One-man judicial panel to probe former Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh's charges against Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh. Bombay High Court to begin hearing Parambir Singh's petition seeking probe against Deshmukh today. Jaipur Court awards life term to 12 SIMI members in Rajasthan on terrorism charges. Centre proposes up to 25% tax concession on purchase of new vehicles on submission of scrappage certificate. India to set up new development financial institution with initial paid-up capital of around $3 billion with a lending target of $69 billion in the next 3 years. India's healthcare industry expected to reach $372 billion in 2022. 22 routes inaugurated under Udan scheme in 3 days. And in cricket, Rishabh Pant replaces injured Shreyas Iyer as captain of the Delhi Capitals for upcoming IPL. As the number of COVID cases are on the rise again, we appeal to our listeners not to lower the guard, follow all the precautions and all those above 45 years to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. All arrangements have been put in place for second phase of assembly elections to be held in West Bengal and Assam tomorrow. Road shows, public meetings and fiery speeches marked the end of the high-octane campaign for the second phase of assembly elections in West Bengal yesterday. Polling will take place tomorrow in 30 assembly constituencies in this phase. Meanwhile, Election Commission has completed all preparations for the second phase of polling. Poll parties will reach polling stations by this evening. More details in this report.
The departure of polling parties for polling stations will be started after some time. Security has been increased in the assembly seats where elections are to be held under the second phase. The Election Commission has deployed a large number of central armed police forces to make a completely peaceful and fearless environment for polling. Vehicles entering the borders of the district and cities are being checked by security personnel in the presence of magistrates. Meanwhile, senior leaders of BJP, Trinamool, Congress and Sanyukta Morcha have shifted their election campaign in those constituencies where polling will take place in the third and fourth phase. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Bankura, West Bengal.
Campaigning for the second phase of assembly elections in Assam ended yesterday with rain and bad weather playing spoilsport. Over 73 lakh voters will decide the fate of 345 candidates in 39 seats which will go to polls tomorrow. The high-voltage campaign saw bigwigs from BJP and Congress touring the state several times in the past week. Our Guwahati correspondent has filed this report.
Most of the seats in the second phase are likely to see a straight fight between the NDA and Congress-led Mahajot. BJP has fielded 34 candidates, Congress has 28, Akham Jatiya Parishad 19, AIUDF 7, Akham Gana Parishad 6 and Bodoland People's Front has 4 candidates are in the fray. For the ruling BJP, Ministers Parimal Suklabhadra, Bhavesh Kalita, Piyush Hazarika and sitting MLA Numal Momin would seek re-election. Kamalekha Dev Purkastha, Sum Rongham and Siddiq Ahmed from the Congress would try their political luck. Senior BPF leader and Minister Rihan Demari is also in the fray from Udalguri seat. Sujamuddin Laskar, Sirajuddin Ajmal would be in the contest for AIUDF. However, this election would not witness participation of former Chief Minister and Akham Gana Parishad stalwart Prafulla Kumar Mahanta, who represented Berhampur seat for the last 35 years. Manas Pratim Sharma, AIR News, Guwahati.
Campaign for the Kerala Assembly poll entered its crucial phase as the state is set to go to polls in 6 days. Our Thiruvananthapuram correspondent reports that campaigning of all the major fronts is in the last leg.
The assembly polls in 140 constituencies in Kerala will be held in single phase on April 6th. The by-poll to the Malappuram Lok Sabha seat will also be held on the same date. As polling date nears, national leaders are actively campaigning for LDF, UDF and NDA. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be making his second visit in connection with the upcoming assembly polls on April 2nd for NDA campaign in Pathanamthitta and Thiruvananthapuram. The CPM national leaders are also camping in the state, boosting the LDF campaign. Meanwhile, the Kerala High Court is expected to deliver the final verdict today on the opposition's allegation of multiple entries of names in the final electoral roll published for the assembly polls. Earlier, the High Court had directed the Election Commission and Chief Electoral Officer to ensure that no double voting takes place on the day of assembly elections in the state. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
Tamil Nadu is getting hotter by the day, as along with the summer heat, political parties are also having heated exchanges as the election date is drawing nearer. Leaders of the NDA alliance, led by senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, campaigned at Dharapuram yesterday. He listed out the failures during the DMK regime in the state. More details from our Chennai correspondent.
Door-to-door canvassing and small rallies hold a colourful presentation in the state. Drum beating and folk media artists are engaged by the parties for canvassing. Voters are thrilled to have a glimpse of their favourite actors and actresses and leaders visiting their places. People welcome the candidates by performing aarti and throw flowers at them with a smile on their faces. Campaigners use different strategies to woo the voters every time they visit them. With Murthy, Joy, AR News, Chennai.
Amid the ongoing assembly elections in 4 states and a union territory, the Ministry of Finance has informed that the issuance of the 16th tranche of electoral bonds will be open for sale from April 1st to 10th. Electoral bonds have been pitched as an alternative to cash donations made to political parties as part of efforts to bring transparency in political funding. Only the political parties registered under Section 29A of the Representation of the People Act and which secured not less than 1% of the votes polled in the last general election to the House of the People or the Legislative Assembly of the state will be eligible to receive the electoral bonds. The cumulative number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country has crossed 6.24 crore. These include over 82 lakh personal healthcare worker HCWs who have taken the first dose and more than 52 lakh HCWs who have taken the second dose. More than 90 lakh frontline workers, FLWs with first dose and over 37 lakh FLWs with second dose are also part of vaccine beneficiaries.
COVID-19 vaccination will be open for everyone aged above 45 years from tomorrow, irrespective of comorbidity. People born before the 1st of January 1977 are eligible for this phase of vaccination. The comorbidities clause has been removed to make the system simpler. The CoWIN system is open for registration and for booking of appointment of all persons of 45 years and above. On-site registration of such persons will also be permissible. All India Radio News has been at the forefront of raising awareness on COVID-19 among the citizens since the first coronavirus case was reported in India. All India Radio started a special public outreach program, Corona Jagrukta series, in March last year. Renowned doctors from famous hospitals participated in the program and responded to various queries from citizens. It completed its 350th episode yesterday. In the landmark episode, Niti Aayog member and chairman of the National COVID-19 Task Force, Dr. V.K. Paul, took part and answered the queries of the listeners.
रेडियो की जो पहुंच है वो बहुत डीप है, बहुत आगे तक है और हर वर्ग के व्यक्ति को ये मैसेजिंग करने में सक्षम होता है और उसमें आकाशवाणी का जो इतना नेटवर्क है तो उसमें मुझे तो एक मिशनरी झील दिखाई देती है और उस मिशनरी झील के द्वारा ऑल इंडिया रेडियो ने जो भूमिका निभाई है उसका बड़ा योगदान है कोरोना के जन आंदोलन को बनाने में, को बढ़ाने में और लोगों तक ठीक जानकारी पहुंचाना। सबसे बड़ी बात आप ये इंश्योर करते हो कि जो बात आप पहुंचाएंगे वो कारगर होगी, सच्ची होगी और सीधे जनहित की बात आप करते हो।
Dr. Paul hoped the vaccination drive that will begin from tomorrow, in which all the people above the age of 45 are going to be given the COVID-19 jab, will play a major role in containing the pandemic.
कोई भी व्यक्ति जो 45 का है, 45 से ज्यादा का है, वो टीकाकरण को अपनाए। तो ये इतनी बड़ी जनसंख्या हमारे देश की आज टीकाकरण के लिए चिन्हित हो गई है, तो उनको अब आगे आके सरकार के अस्पतालों से या प्राइवेट के हॉस्पिटल से अपना टीकाकरण करवाना है। जो जनमानस की जिम्मेवारियों की बात कर रहे थे, अब उसमें ये जिम्मेवारी भी जुड़ गई है। कोई भी वजह नहीं कि आप टीका नहीं लगवाएं। सेफ है टीके, आपकी जान बचा सकते हैं, आपकी बीमारी सीरियस ना हो ये बचा सकते हैं, आपके द्वारा संक्रमण किसी परिवारजन को नहीं होगा, ये सिद्ध होता है। तो इस जिम्मेवारी को जिम्मेवारी की तरह भी लीजिए, अपने लिए भी और समाज की जिम्मेवारी के लिए।
Government has extended the exemption of permit required for vehicles transporting oxygen cylinders till September this year. In a tweet, Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari said the decision will facilitate the carriage and movement of oxygen cylinders between the states and will strengthen the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. The World Health Organization, WHO, has called for further studies and more data on the origin of SARS-CoV-2 virus, which has killed 2.79 million people around the world so far. WHO has reiterated that all hypotheses remain open on the issue. A report on the global tracing of COVID-19 origins of the international team on their Wuhan field visit was published yesterday by WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Dr. Tedros said that finding the origin of a virus takes time and they owe it to the world to find the source so they can collectively take steps to reduce the risk of this happening again. The virus was first detected in Wuhan in China's Hubei province in late 2019. The joint international team comprised 17 Chinese and 17 international experts from 10 other countries as well as the World Organization for Animal Health and WHO. Shortly after release of the report, the United States and 13 allies including South Korea, Australia and the UK voiced concern over the report and urged China to provide full access to experts.
India has supplied a consignment of 25,000 doses of made-in-India COVID-19 vaccine to Palestine. According to the Ministry of External Affairs, MEA, 25,000 vaccines have been given to Palestine. India has been supplying coronavirus vaccines to countries around the world under the Vaccine Made 3 initiative. New Delhi has provided vaccines to over 75 countries. Indian Army has gifted 1 lakh doses of made-in-India COVID-19 vaccines to the Nepali Army. Army Chief General M.M. Narvane handed over the vaccines to Chief of Army Staff of Nepal, Purna Chandra Thapa, via video conferencing.
Gujarat government had decided to extend night curfew in 4 major cities of the state till 15th April. According to official release, the night curfew will remain effective in Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Surat and Rajkot from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. The implementation of centre's guidelines on COVID-19 has also been extended till 30th April. AIR Ahmedabad correspondent reports that the new cases of COVID-19 continue to rise in the state.
Gujarat recorded 2,220 new cases of COVID-19 during the last 24 hours. At the other end, 1,988 patients have been recovered and discharged from the various hospitals during the same period. Maximum 606 new cases have been reported from Ahmedabad, while Surat recorded 563 new cases yesterday. 10 patients died yesterday, taking the total death toll due to COVID-19 up to 4,510. Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation has added 30 new micro-containment zone in the city. Meanwhile, vaccination drive is running in full swing in the state. 1,93,968 persons have been vaccinated during the last 24 hours. With this, more than 53 lakh persons have been vaccinated in the state till now. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
Odisha government is planning to vaccinate 2 lakh eligible citizens against COVID-19 per day. Our Bhubaneswar correspondent reports that the State Health Department has issued district-wise breakup to the district collectors and municipal commissioners to meet the target, which earlier was 1 lakh vaccination per day.
The upward revision of the targeted number of beneficiaries comes in the wake of the centre allowing people of 45 years of age and above to get vaccinated from tomorrow onward. The State Health Department has also prioritized high-risk groups among citizens of 45 years of age and above like street vendors, auto and bus drivers, school and college teachers, salon and barber shop employees, and servitors and priests of religious institutions. Meanwhile, the state has already delivered more than 22 lakh vaccine doses to different categories of beneficiaries, of whom about 13.5 lakh are senior citizens. As for the virus, it has been spiraling beyond 200 new daily cases for the last 1 week, thereby pushing the state's active caseload upwards to 1,837 as of now. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
In Chhattisgarh, a night curfew has been imposed in about a dozen districts, including capital Raipur, following surge in COVID-19 cases. Shops will not be allowed to remain open after 9 in the night in these districts, while strict action will also be taken against those who roam without valid reason. However, medical shops and petrol pumps have been exempted from restrictions. State Health Minister T.S. Singhdev has expressed concern over the increasing cases of corona infection in many districts of the state. He said imposing a lockdown would also be considered if the situation worsens.
सैद्धांतिक रूप से या थ्योरेटिकली जिसको कहते हैं, अगर कहें तो लॉकडाउन क्योंकि हुए हैं और दुनिया में हुए हैं तो लॉकडाउन आज भी हो सकता है, लेकिन लॉकडाउन को लेकर दुनिया ने ये अनुभव किया है कि ये हल नहीं है। बहुत गंभीर स्थिति बन गई तो मान लीजिए कि पिछले कल का जो आंकड़ा है कम टेस्टिंग का, दुर्ग का 45.94 दिखा रहा है पॉजिटिविटी, 46 कि हर 100 में से करीब करीब हर 2 व्यक्ति में से 1 व्यक्ति पॉजिटिव आ रहे हैं, तो ये तो बहुत गंभीर स्थिति हो गई। पर चूंकि टेस्टिंग कम, ऐसी स्थिति अगर बनेगी तो लॉकडाउन के लिए सरकार को जरूर सोचना चाहिए।
Ladakh reported highest spike in coronavirus infection during the past 24 hours. Our Leh correspondent reports that as many as 112 positive cases were reported, which is the highest in daily infection ever since Ladakh reported first case in March last year.
With the increase in arrival of laborer, guests and local residents who migrate to other parts of the country to avoid harsh winter months in Ladakh, the graph of confirmed COVID positive cases has been climbing upward for the past fortnight. However, the report of 112 cases has broke all the record of 1 year of pandemic. With this, the total active case in Ladakh is now 222. 5 cases are reported in Kargil and rest of the 217 cases are confirmed in Leh. Meanwhile, the administration has enhanced the surveillance on compliance of COVID-19 appropriate behavior and testing of COVID-19 infection. With Ramesh Chandra, this is Yangchun Dolma for AR News from Leh, Ladakh.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. All arrangements put in place for second phase of assembly elections to be held in West Bengal and Assam tomorrow. Centre approves issuance of 16th tranche of electoral bonds. More than 6.24 crore doses of COVID vaccine administered in the country so far. WHO releases report on global tracing of COVID origins and calls for further studies. US, UK and 12 other countries criticize findings of the report. One-man judicial panel to probe former Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh's charges against Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh. Bombay High Court to begin hearing Parambir Singh's petition seeking probe against Deshmukh today. Jaipur Court awards life term to 12 SIMI members in Rajasthan on terrorism charges. Centre proposes up to 25% tax concession on purchase of new vehicles on submission of scrappage certificate. India to set up new development financial institution with initial paid-up capital of around $3 billion with a lending target of $69 billion in next 3 years. India's healthcare industry expected to reach $372 billion in 2022. 22 routes inaugurated under Udan scheme in 3 days. And in cricket, Rishabh Pant replaces injured Shreyas Iyer as captain of Delhi Capitals for upcoming IPL. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
Maharashtra government has appointed Justice retired Kailash Uttamchand Chandiwal to probe the allegations levelled by former Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh in his letter to Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray. The order issued by the Maharashtra's General Administration Department states that the scope of inquiry will be to ascertain if there is any truth in Singh's letter and whether he has submitted any proof regarding the alleged irregularities or corrupt practices being followed by the State Home Minister Anil Deshmukh. Bombay High Court will begin hearing former Mumbai Police Chief Parambir Singh's petition today. In his petition, Singh has sought a probe against Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh for allegedly demanding collection of 100 crore rupees as extortion money. The PIL also raises the issue of alleged corruption in police transfers and postings in the state. Senior counsel Vikram Nankani, appearing for Singh, mentioned the petition before a division bench of Chief Justice Dipankar Datta and Justice G.S. Kulkarni yesterday and sought urgent hearing.
In Rajasthan, the Jaipur District Court has convicted 12 SIMI members as terrorists and awarded them life imprisonment. All of them were engineering students and were accused of working for the terrorist organization Indian Mujahideen. They were arrested by the ATS in 2014. While 6 of them are from Sikar, 3 are from Jodhpur, 1 each from Jaipur and Pali, and 1 from Gaya in Bihar. The 13th accused person was acquitted. The centre has proposed up to 25% tax concession on the purchase of new vehicles on submission of scrappage certificate. Road Transport and Highways Ministry has published the draft rules regarding concession in motor vehicle tax against scrapped vehicles. Under the draft rules, people will get 25% concession on the purchase of personal vehicles with vehicle scrappage certificate, while on the purchase of commercial vehicles, the tax relief will be 15%.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that India is going to set up a new development financial institution with initial paid-up capital of around $3 billion with a lending target of $69 billion in the next 3 years. She was attending the 6th annual meeting of Board of Governors of NDB through video conference. During her address, Finance Minister underscored India's quick response to limit the impact of the pandemic and to undertake massive vaccination drives which are resulting in a V-shaped recovery. The minister also highlighted that the world's largest vaccine drive by India is underway, and till date, India has supplied 63.9 million doses of made-in-India COVID vaccine to 80 countries, including 10.4 million doses of the vaccine as a grant. A total of 22 new flights under Regional Connectivity Scheme UDAN was started in the last 3 days, said the Civil Aviation Ministry. Yesterday, under the UDAN scheme, financial incentives from the centre, state governments and airport operators are extended to selected airlines to encourage operations from unserved and underserved airports and keep airfares affordable. The ministry statement noted that till date, 57 unserved and underserved airports, including 5 heliports and 2 water aerodromes with 347 routes, have been made operational under UDAN across the length and breadth of India.
India's healthcare industry is expected to reach $372 billion in 2022. The country's healthcare sector has grown rapidly over the last 5 years at a compound annual growth rate of around 22%. Niti Aayog released a report outlining the range of investment opportunities in various segments of the healthcare sector. This includes hospitals, medical devices and equipment, health insurance, telemedicine, home healthcare and medical value travel. Healthcare has become one of the largest sectors of the Indian economy in terms of both revenue and employment. As per estimates by the National Skill Development Corporation, healthcare can generate 27 lakh additional jobs in India between 2017-22. The report was released by Niti Aayog member Dr. V.K. Paul, CEO Amitabh Kant and Additional Secretary Dr. Rakesh Sarwal. Rishabh Pant has been appointed as the Delhi Capitals captain for this year's IPL as Shreyas Iyer was ruled out of the season after he dislocated his left shoulder during ODI series against England. This is the first captaincy assignment for Pant in the IPL, who was bought by the Capitals before the 2016 IPL and then became the first player to be retained ahead of the 2018 mega auction. 23-year-old Pant will become the 5th youngest captain in the IPL after Virat Kohli, Steven Smith, Suresh Raina and Iyer. While Kohli and Smith assumed leadership at 22, Raina and Iyer were 23 too, but younger in terms of days than Pant.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. National capital Delhi is likely to have strong surface winds during the daytime. The maximum temperature is expected to be 36 degrees Celsius, while the minimum was 18. Mumbai, with a mainly clear sky, will have a maximum temperature of 35 degrees Celsius, while 24 degrees was recorded as the minimum. Chennai, with a partly cloudy sky, may see the temperature rising up to 36 degrees Celsius from a minimum of 26 degrees. Kolkata will also have a partly cloudy sky, and upper limit of temperature will be around 39 degrees Celsius. The lower limit was 26 degrees. Srinagar is likely to witness partly cloudy sky with a temperature hovering between 8 to 20 degrees Celsius. Jammu will observe a mainly clear sky. It will have a maximum temperature of 33 degrees Celsius, while it recorded a minimum temperature of 17 degrees. Leh, with partly cloudy sky, will have a maximum temperature of 11 degrees Celsius. It is worth recalling the minimum temperature was -2 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will also have partly cloudy sky. The maximum temperature is expected to be 23 degrees Celsius, while the minimum was just 8 degrees. Muzaffarabad, with mainly clear sky, may become partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will rise from 10 to 25 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the maximum will be around 34 degrees and minimum will be 17 degrees. Chandigarh will have mainly clear sky. The temperature is likely to hover between 18 and 33 degrees Celsius. In Hyderabad, the maximum temperature will be around 39 degrees and will witness partly cloudy sky. Ahmedabad, with a clear sky, will witness a maximum temperature of around 40 degrees Celsius. The minimum was 26 degrees. Patna may observe dust storm or thunderstorm. The temperature will move from 21 to 38 degrees Celsius. And in Guwahati, generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. There will not be much variations in minimum and maximum temperature, as it will hover between 20 and 27 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. The COVID-19 surge continuing with active cases rising is one of the stories that finds prominent mention in the dailies. Unless checked, surge can overwhelm health systems, centre tells states, leads the Tribune. Voting tomorrow, high-octane campaigns by Mamata Shah draw battle lines in Nandigram, reports the Indian Express. On the Ladakh theatre amid disengagement, Hindustan Times writes, no change in posture of India-China air forces. The Asian Age quotes Prime Minister Narendra Modi as saying, as Judas betrayed Jesus, LDF deceived people of Kerala. And finally, Financial Express reports that starting April 1st, there will be no automatic recurring payment for various services, including recharge and utility bill, as the RBI has made additional factor of authentication mandatory.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. All arrangements put in place for second phase of assembly elections to be held in West Bengal and Assam tomorrow. Centre approves issuance of 16th tranche of electoral bonds. More than 6.24 crore doses of COVID vaccine administered in the country so far. WHO releases report on global tracing of COVID origins and calls for further studies. US, UK and 12 other countries criticize findings of the report. One-man judicial panel to probe former Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh's charges against Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh. Bombay High Court to begin hearing Parambir Singh's petition seeking probe against Deshmukh today. Jaipur Court awards life term to 12 SIMI members in Rajasthan on terrorism charges. Centre proposes up to 25% tax concession on purchase of new vehicles on submission of scrappage certificate. India to set up new development financial institution with initial paid-up capital of around $3 billion with a lending target of $69 billion in the next 3 years. India's healthcare industry expected to reach $372 billion in 2022. 22 routes inaugurated under Udan scheme in 3 days. And in cricket, Rishabh Pant replaces injured Shreyas Iyer as captain of Delhi Capitals for the upcoming IPL. And for details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.